You're listening to Straight No Chaser, the only show to quench your talk radio thirst. Some programs dilute the issues. We only serve the hard stuff. Old school, new school. Grab a glass and welcome your hosts, the Chief, MBZ, and Pastor C.
It's your girl, Ambeezy, and as always, I am joined by Pastor C.
Hey, hey, hey.
And Thinbad, filling in for the Chief.
Hello, hello.
So today we're going to be talking about the Me Too movement, which has become a significant force across the country.
Yeah.
It became very popular in 2017, so last year on social media, and began as a protest against sexual harassment and sexual assault in the workplace. It was so mainstream because it was mainly talking about things that were going on in Hollywood, but as it became popular, you know, more and more people from other environments started speaking out and joining this Me Too movement as well. So it is believed the movement was responsible for the downfall of Harvey Weinstein, who was a media mogul, Bill Cosby, the former CPS executive Les Moonves, who actually, that was an interesting one because his wife is one of the celebrity hosts of Big Brother, and it was actually big news over the weekend that she said his last name for the first time. She usually just says her maiden name, but she said her husband's name in solidarity with him. Senator Al Franken and others. And it wasn't just women who were inspired to say enough either. I mean, actor Terry Crews came forward to report sexual harassment that he encountered. Recently, the Supreme Court confirmation hearings have been delayed as a result of sexual harassment allegations against Judge Kavanaugh. And it goes on and on and on. So before I get Pastor C and Thinbad on a roll, let me remind you guys to call us at 702-425-7789 or chat live with us. So, Pastor C and Thinbad, what are your thoughts about the Me Too movement?
Well, I'll go first there, Thinbad. I am one who is very, very supportive of someone coming forth and speaking about their challenges, their assault or abuse that they have gone through. I in no way do I support sexual harassment, any type of sexual abuse, and even in me considering my childhood and what I experienced growing up, you know, it is very damaging to an individual to experience any type of assault, any type of insinuation or anything that will hurt them. And so, you know, I believe in the Me Too movement as long as it is integral and people are not fabricating things, right. Because when you begin to fabricate or exaggerate or just blatantly lie on someone, you can destroy their careers.
Yes.
You can mess up their names and their characters. Their image is now done. And so, and we've seen that in media here lately, Amber. And so I do believe that it is a positive to it. I do believe that people need to be aware of the abuse, sexual abuse that's not only happening in stardom, but it's happening in our churches.
Right.
It's happening in our homes. There's incest happening, things of that nature. And so if the Me Too movement is designed to bring awareness to sexual abuse and all types of sexual indiscretions, I believe that it is a great opportunity for us to give some insight on that and also give some attention so that people can be healed and also individuals can be more cognitive of what's happening under their nose. How do you feel about that, Thinbad?
In terms, sorry, how do I feel about what I heard, missed the last piece?
The Me Too movement. What's your take on that?
Right, I've got this. Yeah, I agree with what you were saying with regard to, I think it goes without saying that we stand in agreement. None of us are for anyone being mistreated in any way. Part of, and I think it's just, just like so many things with regard to racism are becoming clearer. It's not like these things weren't happening all along, but now that there's a different kind of spotlight on it, people are being more vocal about it, and women in the Me Too movement have had enough of this. It has gone on long enough, and it will be interesting to see. The webs are so tangled. As you said, this crosses political lines. This crosses racial lines. This crosses into the entertainment field, and as you mentioned, into our spiritual lives as well.
Exactly.
There was talk, just the Aretha Franklin. There was talk there. Things that would have otherwise probably not, but for this Me Too movement or this stage that we're in now, this period that we, hope it will last, where we're able to hold each other accountable. Where, if we're not holding ourselves accountable, that there will be groups like Me Too or all of these other groups that hold folks accountable. You've got to be accountable for your actions as individuals.
Absolutely. And because I've been looking at it too, and I think about it. Now, I want to play devil's advocate a little bit.
Let's do it.
Today, guys. I really do, because...
Gotta do it.
Yes. The Me Too movement can be a very positive force, as we stated, and we all unanimously agree. However, I just don't want it to be something that individuals jump on the bandwagon to use it as a political thing or to disqualify someone. Negative and impure motives being used through certain movements that are sincere, that are very sensitive subjects. And I just would hate to see people abuse this type of outlet where people can really come out and be healed. I believe the word of God. The Bible says for us to confess our faults one to another that we may be healed. And so if the Me Too movement is that avenue, if it's that place of confession and being able to share where you've been or what has happened to you for the purpose of healing, I'm all for it. I just do not want to see people abuse it and turn it into something that it was not meant to be. How you guys feel about that?
The possibility of somebody using any movement for malicious intent, or just for their own personal reasons is always a concern. A concern. And I mean, I look at Black Lives Matter. One of the main reasons that people want to say Black Lives Matter can be not credible is because, it started really strong, supporting cases where it was very clear that Black people were being treated unfairly.
Sure.
And, talking about police brutality. But then you had other cases where, people of color would be caught up with law enforcement and people would scream Black Lives Matter. And then when the facts came out, that person was at fault.
Sure.
So it's like, okay, well, now the movement is losing its credibility. And I think it's the same thing with the Me Too movement, where initially when it came out, it was something that was beneficial to people who didn't really have a voice, which is women in the workplace.
Right.
A lot of times women in the workplace have to let sexual harassment or sexual advances go, and to the point where it seems normal. I mean, I'm in the entertainment industry, and I know my daddy's probably listening, but unfortunately, especially in music and in television, working with these upper level executives and these producers, they do stuff all the time, whether if it's touching you inappropriately or just saying something mildly inappropriate and then joking about it, or saying, oh yeah, I know you'll make it because you look like this, or it happens all the time.
It does.
And it's almost so normal that women didn't think they had to speak out about it. So that's why it's really unfortunate, because, being a minority and a woman in this country is very interesting, because Black Lives Matter and the Me Too movement both apply to me, and I can definitely see from both of those perspectives how they're helpful. But unfortunately, absolutely, you do have people shouting, "Oh, me too," when they willingly engage in sexual acts in the hopes of advancing.
Sure. Or,
women are, as much as women are victims, they also are very malicious, and they always have their motives.
Yeah.
So, I really do think that it is a great, it's a great movement, and the way that it started was really amazing because, like we said earlier, it happens in all kind of environments, but in Hollywood, wow, sexual harassment is crazy because since it's not, there's really no rules in Hollywood. Mm-hmm. You're being hired based on how you look, basically. So it's like there were never really boundaries on, they used to have auditions where you would go to producers' hotel rooms and stuff like that. Like, it gets really sketchy. Wow. So I think it was great initially, but like you said, unfortunately, you do have those people who use it to their own advantage. But I think that if we could get past those bad apples, if you will, and kind of focus on the main point of the movement, which is to give women, not only to give women a voice, but really it started so that regardless of who's coming out and who's not, mm-hmm. things will be taken seriously in anybody's workplace as far as sexual harassment, man or woman.
Yeah. And I would add to that, and Beezy, if I will, I do want to just establish this point as something that we can build from.
Right.
No one deserves to be disrespected.
Absolutely.
Whether it's sexually, whether it's verbally, physically, no one deserves to be disrespected. And so when I say no one, I'm speaking of both genders,
right.
female or male, any ethnicity. And so the Me Too movement may have been generated and formed as a women's cause or a woman's cause. However, there are men out here
absolutely
being sexually harassed.
Yes.
Advances are being made at them. There's sexual abuse and things of that nature. I want to bring awareness to that because sometimes a woman can make a sexual advance at a man,
right.
and if he denies it, she can set him up and say, "You made an advance at me."
Right. And they'll take her word for it.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And so, I mean, I'm a male, and I'm not saying that I'm Billy D. Williams or anything like that, or Will Smith or anything in terms of looks, but when you are fair to look upon and someone desires you, I believe in this day and age, Thinbad, that we have some aggressive women out here as well. So I do want to bring some form of balance. What are your thoughts on that, Thinbad?
Yeah, I think you're both right there. There's no way to stop folks from abusing a system or a good thing or something that was set up for good.
Right.
Because they're going to do that. I mean, you're going to have folks who are going to take advantage of, the first thing people do when you give them a set of rules is try to figure out how to break them or go around them or how to do something different. But, MB's right. With in this whole arena, especially the entertainment arena, I mean, the entertainment arena is, harassment and that type of thing is so prevalent. It's almost like if you ask a fish, is he wet? He's gonna be like, what? I mean, it's so pervasive that you don't know. I mean, the fish is like, what's water? It's so pervasive that you don't even know. It's kind of almost like, racism in America. It's just baked in. And when you're dealing with, this type of harassment thing, it's kind of, it too is baked in because it's a piece of that whole privilege thing, that I talked about before. This whole, the way the country was built, it has been male dominated. So things have been, in the hands of males. And now Me Too movement snatches that power.
Right.
Or shifts that balance.
Right.
And now, to coin, Malcolm X's over, the chickens are coming home to roost.
Right.
And people are having to pay the piper for decisions in the past made. But you got you definitely have to beware of those who will try to take advantage of something, but you can't let that stop the movement. And that's not I don't think that's a